These days, the mobile phone is more like an extra limb than an optional lifestyle accessory. And in Africa, it's the single biggest primary point of access to the internet. Because of that, access to cellular networks and data is particularly important on the continent.
You know, I've often been asked what the mobile network Gs, 2G, 3G and 4G mean, and actually it's really quite simple. 2G is an older kind of network and was the second generation network, otherwise known as GSM, and this allowed us to send text messages and the like. Then came 3G, or third generation network, and this speeded things up considerably, giving us faster internet and the ability to make video calls. And now 4G is the next step up. Now there's a new three-letter acronym and a lot of hype to go with it. It's called LTE, or Long-Term Evolution, and it's only available in South Africa in the major metropoles, and we wanted to find out what it's all about.
As requirements changed, people wanted to access data, and then the 2G standard evolved slightly to cater for data. But the voracious appetite for data amongst users, and largely being driven by smartphones and user-defined apps, has caused the need for more and more data. Now, 3G kind of evolved from 2G to cater for that initially, but technologies such as these mobile dongles, where guys want to download volumes of data and using it as a substitute for fixed line networks, these networks started to crack as well. So the 3G network couldn't keep up with the volumes of data, and therefore the engineers went back to the drawing board to see how they can get more and more and more data out of technology and spectrum, and therefore a whole new modulation technology was developed called 4G, which is the basis now for LTE, and therefore the whole drive behind it is trying to meet the needs of users' data requirements.
LTE has the potential to deliver triple the speeds of existing mobile connections, meaning better user experience and faster downloads. So LTE is fantastic for urban dwellers around South Africa who live in the major cities, but not so much for everyone else who lives on the African continent. According to a report from Ericsson, 2G is the dominant form of connection on the continent and will remain that way for the next decade at least.
With the African continent, there's quite a lot of penetration of mobile telephony, and particularly from the voice perspective. Data, perhaps to a lesser extent, because as you know, the African continent, we're ruled by the fact that we have a particular level of development, and also the needs of the people within the continent are at a particular stage. And right now, what is critical for people is to be able to be connected to others and be able to talk to others more than it is at this point in time to be able to share data and download data and use data in the way that we perhaps are doing in more developed countries. If you take the example of our country, we are perhaps lagging behind some other parts of the world where there has been a greater demand because there was a lot more use of data. We're getting to the point now where LTE is, the way to go and what people are looking for, and you see that evidenced by the fact that just about everybody is carrying some kind of tablet device. People are using a lot of data on their handsets. So as much as, yes, there is still quite a lot of voice being used, a significant amount of money is being spent on the actual data that is downloaded.
So a faster, more capable network needs to be accessed by faster, more capable devices. And this is exactly where things falter a little in Africa, because there's a very high penetration of feature phones and a very low penetration of smartphones. So while those in urban areas will be rocking the LTE, for millions across the African continent, they'll be having their first essential internet experiences on a 2G network.